Welcome back to Watcher of All Things. My name is Kiki, and this is my podcast where I talk movies, TV shows, and all things entertainment. And today is episode 27, where we will be talking the new Star Wars TV show, The Acolyte, which has just wrapped up on Disney+. I hope you are having a fantastic week. I hope everybody got to see Longlegs last week, which we'll talk a bit more about Longlegs and how it did at the box office. We also got some cool casting news and some new projects that we're learning about. So lots to get into. We have a really good episode today. And of course, we're going to talk about The Acolyte. We will get to that. As always, there's timestamps below. So if you want to avoid all discussion of The Acolyte because you haven't watched it or whatever, you can look at the timestamps. We have the non-spoiler section, the spoiler section, but then we also have what else I watched right after that, so you can just go straight to those sections. And it's Star Wars. People get pissed off at Star Wars all the time because, Disney's gone woke and stuff like that. I am not going to talk the politics of Star Wars. If you want to talk politics of Star Wars, Red Letter Media did a great video, about Star Wars and The Acolyte, and I think they only got to see episodes 1 to 4 of The Acolyte. So if you want to know about all of the online discourse and hate and whatever, a very good video to watch is just go to Red Letter Media's episode about The Acolyte. But this, I'm just going to evaluate the show, what I thought of the show itself, nothing to do with the outside world, just the show itself. Before we get into The Acolyte, let's jump into the news. Our first story is more of a rumor than an official casting story. I saw Kumail Nanjiani had tweeted how excited he was for the Superman movie, and then he had to quickly back up his tweet with, guys, I'm not in the movie, I'm just very excited as a fan. But there are some rumors surrounding him that apparently Kumail Nanjiani has joined the DC Universe as Booster Gold, which is a TV show that has been in development, but it's been long rumored who's going to play the titular character. He's this funny superhero that comes from another universe, kind of has like an imposter syndrome type thing, or like I don't know. He's a very funny hero, and people are very, very much looking forward to the Booster Gold role being cast in the DC universe. And it came from Nexus Point News this week that this is what they're saying. We have exclusively learned that Kumail Nanjiani has landed the role of Booster Gold in the DC universe. Nanjiani is currently set to portray the character in the upcoming studio series Booster Gold. Nanjiani is best known for his roles as Dinesh on HBO's Silicon Valley, his fictionalized take on himself in his semi-autobiographical feature, The Big Sick, and as Kingo in Marvel Studios' Eternals. In February of 2024, Daniel PRK, who's like another kind of not influencer, scooper, it's scooper, like a news scooper person, they reported on X that Booster Gold had been cast, and this is back in February of 2024. So last month, Nexus Point News reported that multiple writers had come on board to write the series. As reported, the writing team will consist of Danny McBride, John Carcieri, and Jeff Fradley, frequent collaborators who are best known for their work on Righteous Gemstones. Nanjiani, a friend of Gunn's, recently quoted an image of the official Superman logo, replying with, quote, in, which fueled speculation regarding a potential, like I said, he made the rookie mistake of saying you're excited for something, because apparently you're not allowed to do that in Hollywood. You can't say you're excited for another property. But look, even if this isn't true, let's act like it is. I think Kumail Nanjiani would be an awesome Booster Gold. He is very funny, and of anything, Booster Gold needs to be funny. I know he's traditionally blonde and like blonde hair, blue eyes in the comics. I don't think it really matters. This is not necessarily, a role that cannot be race swapped or anything. Like, it doesn't matter the background of the actor. I think you just need someone who's funny and can play kind of like a bumbling idiot in a way, if that makes sense. And if you want to see more funny stuff from Kumail Nanjiani, he's really good on Veep. I saw a funny clip with him just the other day. Now that, oh my god, a crazy weekend. I haven't even mentioned that Donald Trump was nearly assassinated or whatever. Just a wild few days between every episode. It's so hard to just simplify, oh yeah, it was a good weekend. It's just crazy shit. Anyways, he's really good in Veep. That was such a tangent. I'm sorry. He's really good in Veep. He's really good on that Murderville TV show on Netflix. I think he's in not the Christmas special. I think he's in the regular series. He's really funny. He's just a funny dude in general. He's a stand-up comic. I think he would be very good. I think as much as I didn't like Eternals, I think he was the perfect kind of mold for Booster Gold, if that makes sense. Ooh, rhyme, bars. So to me, this is not the worst worst rumor I have ever heard. I actually got a little bit excited when I saw this because Booster Gold, there's actually a really good Booster Gold episode in the Justice League Unlimited show. If anybody wants to kind of get a sense of Booster Gold, I would highly recommend watching Justice League Unlimited, the animated series. Go to the Booster Gold episode. It just really personifies him very well, that he always feels like he's kind of a side character and not important, and he has a little bit of imposter syndrome and just wants kind of this fame. And Booster Gold is just a very funny character in general. So yeah, Kumail Nanjiani, if he is Booster Gold, I think that's great. Some less exciting news for myself personally, Euphoria Season 3, which has been on the ropes for ever now. I mean, they're all high schoolers, but everyone in this show, it's like Stranger Things. They all look 30 now. Well, it has announced a couple months ago that they told all the actors, go find other work because we are delayed for a while. But Euphoria Season 3 is to begin filming in January 2025 with the entire main cast returning. So the long-delayed third season of the Emmy-winning HBO series will begin shooting in January 2025 with all principal cast members returning per HBO. Quote, I am thrilled that we are ready to begin production on Euphoria in January. We could not be happier with our creative partnership with Sam and this incredible cast. We look forward to bringing this new season of Euphoria to life for the fans, said Francesca Orsi, Executive Vice President of HBO Programming and Head of HBO Drama Series and Films. This means that the production on Season 3 will begin almost exactly 3 years after, oh my god, 3 years. 3 years after the premiere of Season 2. HBO originally announced that production on the new season had been delayed in March 2024. I mean, if it's just starting production in January 2025, the show is definitely not coming out until the fall of 2025 easily, I would say. I'm not a Euphoria fan. I've never seen it. I know tons of people love it and it's very popular. I've seen clips of Zendaya acting in that show and she's very good, and I guess that's where Sydney Sweeney like kind of made her big break. I know her from The White Lotus, and Jacob Elordi's in that. I'm not a huge Sam Levinson fan. Everything I watch that is his terrible. I've seen so many clips of his other show, The Idol, and that was one of the worst things I've ever watched in my life. So I don't know. Good for the Euphoria fans. They must be euphoric. I don't know. That seems accurate. But let's move on to some happy news that actually I was excited about. Timothée Chalamet is to star in Josh Safdie's next film, which is an A24 movie about Ping Pong Pro. So this was coming from Variety, and A24 actually also confirmed this and put a poster out. Timothée Chalamet is set to star in and produce Marty Supreme, an original movie from Josh Safdie and A24. Sources close to the film say Marty Supreme is a fictionalized story, while Variety hears the film is inspired by professional ping pong player Marty Reisman. So it's written by Safdie and Ronald Braunstein, who produced alongside Eli Bush and Anthony Katagas. So the film reunites Safdie with producer A24, which distributed his last two features, Uncut Gems and Good Time. Oh my god, amazing movies. A24 confirmed the news in a social media post where they just posted a picture of a ping pong ball that said Marty Supreme made in America, and Josh Safdie's Marty Supreme starring real Chalamet coming soon. So Reisman, the ping pong player, died in 2012 and was a table tennis champion who started his career as a hustler in Manhattan playing for bets and prize money. Sometimes when I hear they're making a biopic, especially someone I don't know about, I will not go on their Wikipedia page and be like, oh, who is this person? I'm like, I will find out in the movie. I don't want to know everything about them. Like before I saw The Iron Claw, I wasn't Googling every detail about the Von Erich family. Like, oh, I don't know who these people are. And had I Googled them, I would have found out the great tragedy that was in their lives, and it would have been very sad, but also the movie would have been spoiled for me. I know they, changed some aspects of the story, like taking a brother out of the film that had previously died as well, because they thought audiences wouldn't believe that. But I'm not going to look up who Marty Reisman was. I am just looking forward to a fun, I like that it's a fictionalized story, kind of like the Weird Al Yankovic movie or whatever. They made like a super heightened version of a biopic with Weird Al. I kind of hope it's along those lines. That would be really funny and cool and fun. I'm kind of sick of all these serious biopics that just kind of bow down and worship the person that's the subject. It's not interesting to me anymore. I'm just not really big on biopics in general. I think there's, a few good ones, but other than that, they're kind of everywhere now. Like we just got that Amy Winehouse one that I think did not do very well. We got the Bob Marley one, which I don't think did extremely well. So I don't know. It kind of feels like it's a saturated market at this point. But if we got more like Weird Al Yankovic biopics, I'd be okay with that. I love Timothée Chalamet. I really like Josh Safdie. I loved Uncut Gems and Good Time. A24 produced, so it's gonna, it'll have a good production quality behind it and a good team leading it. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Michael Mann has shared a Heat 2 filming update and casting rumors. So Deadline had shared this week that Michael Mann is making a sequel to his 1995 film Heat. In a new interview, the filmmaker said he is working on writing the screenplay for the sequel based on his novel Heat 2. Mann told the LA Times that he wants to begin shooting the film by the end of 2024 or beginning of 2025. The director stopped short of talking about the cast set for Heat 2, telling publication, "I can't talk about that." It is rumored that Adam Driver and Austin Butler are supposed to be in Heat 2, and nobody has confirmed that, but I have seen Austin Butler doing like those assault rifle training things that movie stars do, like Keanu Reeves and Halle Berry did for John Wick. So I've seen Austin Butler on one of those Instagram pages. It just randomly popped up. I'm not like a gun nut or anything. Not very interested in guns in general. But just weirdly, someone had shared it on like Rotten Tomatoes or something. I don't know, one of those pages. And everyone in the comments was saying, oh, because he's doing Heat 2. So I Googled it, and there's like so many things about Austin Butler and Heat 2. As for the film itself, I love the movie Heat. Really great. I actually watched it a couple months ago. I've talked about it on the show. I love that movie. I just got it on 4K, actually. Sorry, I keep rubbing. I buzz cutted my hair yesterday, and I keep rubbing the top of my head and being thrown off that I don't have hair. And anyways, Heat 2 looks really cool. Heat 2, the novel, only one person that I know of has read the book, and that is James Clement from The Weekly Planet. He talked about it on their show and said that it was pretty boring. I think, I don't want to misquote him, but I think he was not super into it. So I hope it's a cool sequel. The sequel is about Val Kilmer's character, who, spoiler if you haven't seen Heat, he makes a run for it, and he's the only one that makes it home free in that movie. And so it's about his character. So Austin Butler would be playing a young Val Kilmer, I believe, or Val Kilmer after he's on the run, I think actually is more accurate. So cool. I love Heat. I love Michael Mann. I liked Ferrari a lot. I thought it was pretty decent. Michael Mann's a good filmmaker in general. So yeah, I'm down for that. And just finally, because I got a lot to say about The Acolyte and I really want to dig into it, just some great news about Longlegs. I talked about how busy it was at my screening last weekend. It did extremely well at the box office. Variety reported box office, Longlegs bedevils with phenomenal 22.6 million debut, with Fly Me to the Moon struggling liftoff with 10 million. So Longlegs easily outgrossed Fly Me to the Moon, which was a $100 million rom-com featuring Scarlett Johansson and Channing Tatum. The film's opening weekend results are a record-breaking debut for Neon, the indie distributor, that did an outstanding job of generating word of mouth for Longlegs thanks to a viral marketing campaign. It was one that saw the studio create a 90s-style website highlighting the gruesome crimes of its antagonist, as well as a phone number that people could call to hear a demented message from Cage. Longlegs did very well. It was the buzz everywhere on the internet all weekend. I feel like everyone was raving about it. Red Letter Media, again, I'm talking about them again. They just did a film. Jay and Mike did a video about Arcadian and Longlegs. Good video as well. I would recommend that too. They both liked it. Mike said it was like the script was basically a Criminal Minds episode that turned out good. And I don't know, I'd push back on that. I really like the script. I like how simple it was in a good way, but I just like the different aspects that they use. So yeah, Longlegs, and it just keeps chugging. I keep seeing more and more people seeing it. Inside Out 2 and Despicable Me 4 are both still going very strong. The summer box office is alive and well, and it's only going to get even bigger. I mean, this weekend we have Twisters 2. Sorry, just Twisters. It's not Twisters 2. Twisters, as well as next Thursday, Deadpool and Wolverine comes out. It's just bangers after bangers right now for the box office. So that's great news when you consider how poorly we started the summer season with the box office. I mean, you had The Fall Guy, Furiosa, which only really, I think, made their money back thanks to video on demand. But if they had just kept it in theaters longer and longer, and like same with movies like Hitman, just keep movies in theaters. You wonder why they aren't profitable. It's because you give people a week to see them, and word of mouth is not going to spread. Like, if it's a good movie, people will go see it. Like Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, they just kept it in theaters, and I think that was a brilliant move. But that is enough for the news this week. Like I said before, there's timestamps below, so if you want to avoid spoilers for The Acolyte and just have more general discussion, you can go to the timestamps below in the description or the info under this episode on your streamers or YouTube, and just stick to the non-spoiler section. Or if you want to avoid all discussion of The Acolyte, you can go straight to the What Else I Watch section. So yeah, let's get it. I'm excited to talk about this. There was some good stuff, some bad stuff, and some okay stuff. So let's get into it. The Acolyte. The Acolyte is the newest Disney Plus Star Wars program or property. It is considered a thriller. It's more of like a mystery type thing. And I'm actually excited. This is the first Star Wars property that I'm reviewing for the show. So this is really cool. I love Star Wars in general. Like, I don't know if I've ever said this. I'm a big fan of Star Wars. I love even the prequels. There's lots of stuff I enjoy in those, as bad as I think Attack of the Clones is. Like Phantom Menace, I think is a bad movie, but I don't know. It gave me fun memories as a kid. So I'm nostalgia blinded. I think the episode 3 is genuinely a good movie. And I think, most of the Disney Plus stuff has been good. I think season 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian are phenomenal. And other than that, Andor, amazing. I think Andor is borderline the best Star Wars thing we've ever had, maybe, other than the original trilogy. Like, I think that is a brilliant TV show that oh my God, I love it. I actually might rewatch it like this weekend. I might start it over now that The Acolyte's done because I loved Andor. But look, The Acolyte, let's get right into it. So it was 8 episodes, had a budget of about $180 million, currently has 81% on Rotten Tomatoes with 15% average audience score. But I mean, the audience score, you can just ignore that because we all know why that is happening. Same with like IGN and IMDb, both their reviews, 6 out of 10 and 3.6 out of 10. We both know why those are happening. It is created by Leslie Headland, who did Russian Doll, I believe, and has written some plays and stuff like that. It's also written by Leslie Headland and Jasmine Flournoy. Cinematography is James Friend and Chris Teague. It stars Lee Jung-jae from Squid Game, who I really love, as Master Saul, Amanda Stenberg as Osha Anasea, Manny Jacinto as the Stranger, Charlie Barnett as Yord Fandar, Daphne Keane as Jackie Lawn, Rebecca Henderson as Vernestra Rowe, Junis Suotamo, oh my God, his Finnish name or whatever, so impossible to say. He's like the new Chewbacca in all the movies. He plays Master Kalneka. Jodie Turner-Smith as Mother Anasea, Dean Charles Chapman as Torben, if you know him from 1917, Carrie-Anne Moss, like the Carrie-Anne Moss as Master Indara, as well as a giant supporting cast of, some recognizable faces, some less than others. It's a pretty, I think they really got some, two recognizable faces for me. They got, the guy from Squid Game and Carrie-Anne Moss, and the rest are people that I, recognize from other things. I'm like, oh, he's in The Good Place. Oh, she's in that. Oh, that's Daphne Keane from Logan. Look, let me give you a synopsis first, of course. An investigation into a shocking crime spree pits a respected Jedi Master against a dangerous warrior from his past. Of course, we're going to stick in non-spoilers. I have lots to say, non-spoilers. This is, it's hard with TV shows because you learn so much so quickly, so it's hard to keep it very general. But look, I don't think this is as terrible as all these review bombs would have you to believe, but it is by no stretch a memorable show. I think there are some bad moments for sure. There's many okay/fine moments, and there's some awesome moments that I actually really did enjoy. I think the biggest problem with the show is that the most interesting episodes to me are the 5th and the 8th. So it takes 5 episodes to really get cooking, and then the finale is very interesting. So there's pacing issues. The acting is very questionable in some parts. I'm not a stage actor or anything, but it feels very fan-made sometimes. Not to say that fan-made films are bad. The fights, I have to say the fights are awesome in this. I really did enjoy the fight choreography, and it is a mostly great villain who has to really carry the weight of this show, as well as there are some interesting heroes. I think this would have been a really great Star Wars movie if they had chopped this down to a movie or even less episodes, but this doesn't have the juice to be a full show. So as always, I'll start with the cast and their characters, what I liked, what I didn't like. Lee Jung-jae as Saul, probably my favorite character in the show. I'm pretty sure he learned English in 6 months for this TV show. And look, there are parts where you can tell there isn't any emotion in what he's saying because perhaps he is just acting it out phonetically because he doesn't really understand. But I have to say he's very good in this. I love Qui-Gon Jinn, and he's a very kind of Qui-Gon Jinn type character. I like his overall character arc in this show as well, which I'll fully talk about in spoilers. He's a Jedi Master. He is Osha's Jedi Master. He's the one that's the head of, the investigation or whatever in this. And he's good. I like him in this. He's very interesting. He's one of the only interesting characters in this show that has, some character depth or some complications about them that make them interesting. So I think he is very good in this. Amanda Stenberg as Osha. This isn't a spoiler because it's in all all of the trailers. Like, they literally show it in the trailers, but she's actually a twin. So it's May and Osha. I think she's very good. I think she's a good actress, but she is completely sold out by the writing and the fact that they make her character so uninteresting, or her characters so uninteresting. It's just, I think every part that she has, she's fine, but they don't give her much to do. Versus Lee Jung-jae as Sol. Sol is a very interesting character and has so much to do in this, but for me, May/Osha is not that interesting. Manny Jacinto, who I only really know from The Good Place, and he plays a very goofy character in that. He plays the stranger, and I think he's great in this show. I think he is one of the very much the highlights of this show. Who he plays a very fun character, but also a very dark and sinister character as well. So I like what he does in this show. He is definitely not an issue, and they give him lots to do. The villain of the show is this like Sith that we don't really know who it is until episode 5. I think it's episode 5. Easily the most entertaining fan moments come from this character mostly, and Saul has some good fan moments, but for me, definitely my favorite character was the Sith character. They have great fights. I love the design of their helmet. I have to say, all the designs of everything in the show are fine, other than the Wookiee having a ponytail. That looks so odd at first. Like, you would buzz cut a Wookiee. It's like a big dog, you know? That's just weird to me. But I have to say the design of the villain was really awesome in this show. And like, for the most part, I think there is some very noticeable bad CGI moments, but the design and the visual effects on all of their villains and the lightsabers are fine for the most part. But the villain, the Sith character, is awesome. You see them in the trailer just briefly, but in the show, they're really great. Carrie-Anne Moss as Master Indara is great. I loved every scene with her in the show. I thought she is so fun. I haven't seen The Matrix in forever, I think, and Carrie-Anne Moss is just very good in this. I think if you were going to pick one actress who for sure could play a Jedi, Carrie-Anne Moss, I think, would probably pop into a lot of people's minds, and for good reason, because she's very good in this. Just quickly, a couple others. Rebecca Henderson as Vernestra, Daphne Keane as Jecki, and Charlie Barnett as Yord. They all they're all fine in this. They do what they have to do, but it is, again, it's like May/Osha with Amanda Stenberg. It is not their fault. It's the script that's letting their performances down, because they are given such little amounts that are like really interesting, especially Vernestra. She's given such sparing moments, but every moment with her is so interesting, and I really enjoyed that stuff. Everyone else in this show is fine, except the child actors. I will say the young May and Osha were so bad, and I always feel bad for critiquing child actors, but it's just they're giving this very cheesy, over-the-top kind of school play performance that was hard to get through, and it's just, I don't know, very generic. It felt like they were in another kind of show aimed towards perhaps a much younger audience, where everyone else feels like they're in a much more serious show. So I don't know. It's hard to critique child actors, but that was the only thing that every time they were on, I was like, oh, this is taking me out of it. Okay, that's enough about like the actors. I really want to get into something positive. I don't want to just drag on this show for the entire episode, because there was stuff that I really did enjoy in this show. Like, I think the fighting, again, was really great in this show. I think the choreography of all of the fights is super solid throughout the entire series, and to me only gets better by the finale. I think the finale has some very great Star Wars fighting choreography and directing in the fights as well. Like, some shots that were very memorable to me that I was like, oh shit, you don't really see that a lot. That looks really cool. Like, just consistently good fighting, and the finale is just awesome. I think Saul Indara and the Sith Khmer is their name, Sith Khmer, are decent characters that I ate up every minute that they were on screen, and they're the three most interesting characters to me. And I wish the focus was way more on them, because they market the show, and the way you would think going into it is that Amanda Stenberg's character, Osha/May, are the stars of this and the main focus. Whereas while I'm watching, they have such little emotional weight for me for some reason. Like, they're given, I don't know, everything they're given to do is just kind of predictable and kind of uninteresting to me, whereas all of the Jedi stuff with Saul and Dara, and as well as the Sith Khmer, are all so great, and I love that stuff. Like, that was stuff that I really enjoyed in this show. I think they wrote those three characters extremely well. I also enjoyed how just separated this show was from the Skywalker. Like, we did not get someone from the trilogy showing up every 5 minutes and overshadowing. I like that these are all characters for the most part, other than one that, whatever, the age of them is like up for debate or whatever, but people shouldn't whine about that. I enjoyed how separated it was. There wasn't, fan servicey stuff every 5 minutes. Like, it's very separated in how fan servicey it is. And I just like when we get Star Wars stuff that is very separated from the Skywalker saga. I think that's good. You want to expand the universe? Do that. Stop relying on the original trilogy and just milking it for all it is. There's other time periods, and I like that. This is 100 years before the prequels, so we're not really getting the stuff. I think this is, what's it called? The High Republic? Is that what this is called? There's like the Knights of the Old Republic, which is 1,000 years before. So sorry, I'm definitely getting this wrong. And then there's the High Republic, which is 100 years before, I think. I know this show is 100 years before, so there's not really crossover with the main prequels, and if there is, I will save it for spoilers, because there are some Easter eggs that you will recognize from the prequels for sure. All the diehard fans who know every piece of lore will recognize tons of stuff, of course. Like, you can't make a Star Wars show without leaving really fun Easter eggs and little nuggets for the fans. That's just like a very fun part, as well as like, oh, who's gonna get this super deep reference in the background somewhere like that. I think for sure people will recognize stuff, but you don't need to know every piece of lore to watch the show, I don't think. Okay, that's some positive stuff I wanted to say, but here is my biggest problem with the show, is the main characters, as I've mentioned. Osha, Amanda Stenberg, sorry, I'm so used to saying Amanda Stenberg's character, Osha and May, the twins that are the stars of the show, are the least interesting of anybody in the show, maybe other than Yord, because they wrote an absolute dud of a Jedi Knight. The writers put all of the focus on them, but give the most fun and interesting things to, and like Star Wars specific moments, like really awesome fights and really cool Jedi and Sith stuff. They kind of pull it all away from them. So I feel like they're kind of throwing Amanda Stenberg under the bus, because I think she's actually really good in this show, but they don't give her enough interesting things to do. You have a major problem when all of the posters and the name of the show is The Acolyte. The Acolyte is meant to be her, and she's on all of the posters, and you're marketing the hell out of her, making her do all of these interviews, and then you write an uninteresting main character. Like, sure, it's not a bad performance and not a bad character by any means, but you kind of lose interest when the mystery of them, they reveal in episode 1 that they're a twin. Like, you can watch 30 minutes of the show and understand that there's not really a mystery of who is killing all of these Jedi. It's just May. It's the sister. And then they put it in all of like the posters and everything right after episode 1 on their Instagram and all their social media. Like, there's just no mystery to this show after episode 4. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know, it's kind of a bummer how quickly they give up on the mystery when they're marketing it as kind of like a dark mystery show about the Jedi and the Sith. No, it's not. You're not delivering on what it was. And it just feels like when you're watching it, you're kind of getting sold out, and they're not only selling kind of the fans out. This sounds really mean. Like, they're not selling us out, but they're not delivering what you're going in expecting, which is a huge bummer. And it takes a while, honestly, to get going until episode 5. Like, the first episode, I was very interested because they're talking about, all these Jedis are being murdered, like they're talking about in the trailer. And that's what got me interested in the show, is who's killing all these Jedis. It's just Osha's twin. And they say that. I'm pretty sure they even show her in the 2 outfits in the, in the trailer. Like, it's so obvious that they're twins. I don't know. They just kind of give up on their mystery aspect and give you an uninteresting character. When I think Osha being framed in the opening of the show is such an interesting thing, because we can tell it's not her, like, or is it her and she has some amnesia? And it's a fun mystery. That's what got me excited for the show. When I started watching, I was like, oh, okay, this is actually an interesting premise. And then they're just like, oh, it's twins. And it's like, really? You're just going to tell me right away you don't want to wait like a couple of episodes and people are dying and Osha's still getting blamed or something like that? I don't know. Again, if this was a movie, I think it would have worked a lot better, that you reveal, like, after the first act of the film, you reveal that there's a twin or something like that. Just as a show, there's not enough mystery to go around for me. And the Jedis, they're all written the exact same. Like, Vernestra and Saul are great, but every other Jedi is so boring. They're all written like priests and these like boring, again, even in the Red Letter Media video, they talked about this as well, and this was one of my biggest issues with the show, is the Jedis are so boring. Like, they've always been written as these like cool monk type people that are extreme warriors, and I don't care who's a Jedi. Like, there's all these fucking morons online complaining or whatever. Like, these Jedis can literally be aliens. A Jedi can be anyone. That's not my problem. It's how you're writing the character, that they're all the exact same person, and they all act the exact same to me, other than our two most interesting or three most interesting story. Like you have Indara, Sol, and Vernestra. Those are the only three really interesting ones to me. Like you have Daphne Keane, who is a very great actress from a young age. Like she's in Logan and gives an amazing performance, and she feels wasted to me. Charlie, what's his name? Charlie Burnett, who plays Yord. They just like write him off as this completely buffoon character who's just like a dumb Jedi, and all the Jedi are just written as weak and foolish, and it's not interesting. Like there's very rarely an interesting Jedi in the show. There's only three. The rest are just like they're written like buffoon mall cops or mall security in like a teen movie that are chasing kids that are being rebellions. I don't know. It's just it's a little bit disappointing, you know? I've said this already. I've hinted on this a few times, but this is not a good weekly show. Like I said, this would be much better as a movie. In fact, I think if you had, I don't know, if the writing was a little bit better and they had made this idea into a movie, you could have had a really good 2 hours and something minutes of a movie, because there is simply not enough interest to keep people going week to week with this show. And if you're not going to make it a movie, make it 5 or 6 episodes. Don't be afraid to cut it down, because it feels like it's moving so minimally sometimes, or every episode. And I went on the Star Wars Reddit last night, which was actually surprisingly very respectful and had a lot of people talking respectfully about the show, which is refreshing, because, you know, just looking at Star Wars from the outside, you would think it's just people at each other's throats. And of course it is. You always have those clickbait YouTubers or whatever, but I don't want to get into the politics. But everyone was saying like, I just have this feeling every week when the episode ended, that's it kind of thing. You know, it's not concise writing. It's like cool moment, 20 minutes of things we've already talked about a billion times and we kind of already understand. So can we move the pacing along? So pacing issues was just, look, I've said this a billion times. I hate the binging model. I hate the binge model of TV. But if you were going to make a binge model for a TV show, it would have to be this one, because I do think watching the episodes back to back to back to back is the only way to keep this interesting, because there was a few weeks where I didn't watch an episode and I banked them all for one night because I just couldn't be bothered, because it just didn't hold my interest. There were 3 episodes out when I first started it, and then I didn't watch again until episode 6. I watched 3 more episodes, and then I just yesterday or whatever watched episodes 7 and 8, I think. So not enough material for an 8-episode TV show. Like someone on Reddit had called the show empty calories, and I think that's so true. Like it feels very watered down in parts, and stuff is happening, but it's not meaningful stuff. The creator, like I talked about, Leslie Headland, she said that this was meant to be a show about the Sith infiltrating the Jedi, and it doesn't feel like that at all whatsoever. I'm not sure this is a show that really knows what it wants to be until about episode 5, and then it starts showing promises. Like if it was just episode 5 to episode 8, I would be very interested in the show. Like if I got episode 1, episode 5, 6, 7, 8, this would be a really fun show for me. But the rest I didn't really care that much about. And by the time you get to the end of episode 7, it feels very too little too late. And you're like, how the hell are they going to wrap this all up in the finale? And they do an okay job. I'll get into that. But look, overall, I think I've rambled enough in non-spoilers. Like this is not the worst Star Wars thing I have ever watched. It's fine for a TV show. I think it is okay. If you're a diehard Star Wars fan and just want to watch anything Star Wars, this will keep you entertained, because it's cool seeing the Jedi and this era of Star Wars. And there are some very fun moments that I will get into specifically in spoilers, but I don't think this is a memorable property. Like whenever people are ranking their Star Wars properties, I don't think very many people will have the Acolyte in their top 5 or even their top like 10 or 9. It's not memorable. It's a good one-time watch, but I don't think I will ever go back and watch the entire series. It's not as terrible as I expected it to be. To be honest, I watched the trailers and I was like, okay, it looks interesting, but I don't think it's going to be very good. And after the first 3 episodes, I thought this might get rough from here, because it seems like it's running out of steam already. But I have to say there's entertaining and fun parts. Like there is things that stuck with me after the show that I really enjoyed. It should not have been an 8-episode TV show. There was simply not enough happening for this to be an 8-episode TV show. But I would recommend, if you're a Star Wars fan, why not check it out if you're interested in seeing something else. Like if this was 40 years ago or 30 years ago, you know, this would be a Star Wars Legends book that some people read. Like this is a good kind of expanded material that's kind of nice and separated from everything else. Isn't really going to mess with the canon too much, other than, okay, one character's age perhaps doesn't make sense, but like it's never fully stated, I guess, really. You know, like it could be up for debate, but it's not messing with the canon that much, so who really cares? They didn't completely transform one character. Like, they didn't, change Anakin Skywalker or whatever. It's kind of nice to just get these side things that aren't related to the Skywalkers or completely life and death to the Star Wars universe. I don't know, if you like anything Star Wars and you don't really care what it is, I would recommend this, but if you're not a diehard Star Wars fan, I wouldn't bother. This is one you can skip over and you can just go back to enjoying The Mandalorian and all of the main stuff. So if I had to give it like a grade or out of 5, if this was on Letterboxd, what would I give it? I'd probably give it a 3.5. Like, I think it's okay and memorable. It's kind of right down, not down the middle, but it's, I don't know, it's okay. All right, that will be it for non-spoilers. So let's get into spoilers because there is lots I want to talk about. And as I said, I wish the mystery of Osha and May being twins was drawn out. That lasts really only the first episode, but I've already talked about that. So let's go. Manny Jacinto, who plays the Stranger. He is actually the Sith, if you couldn't pick it up in that non-spoiler section. I think he's great in this. I think he plays the Sith character very well. It's a kind of sexy, charming, enticing dude that, like, I just like how evil he plays it, and he is complicated. He has a history with the Jedi, and Vernestra was he was Vernestra's Padawan, and his name is Kamir. He's the Sith Kamir, and he's being trained on this planet that looks like Luke's Island, Act 2, but I don't think it is. I think I saw online somewhere that it's not Act 2, but on that island we get Darth Plagueis in the finale, which fucking blew my mind. I was like, where did he come from? So again, if you are a very diehard Star Wars fan and you like seeing things we haven't seen in live action before, you get a Darth Plagueis in this. So if there is a season 2, I think we will get Darth Plagueis showing up and doing things, because it looks like he is Kamir's, because they say Siths always come in twos. So if you want to see more Sith, watch this, because you get Kamir, who is a really great Sith Lord. I thought he was maybe like one of the Knights of Ren at first, but then I was like, wait, that's way far in the future. Like, he's way too early. He's like 150 years too early, but I think he's a cool Sith character. Really enjoyed that, and I like the identity reveal as well. Like, when you first meet him, you're like, who the fuck is this idiot? Like, there's no way this guy knows how to lift a lightsaber. He's like working in a little shop. But when he killed Daphne Keene's character, Jecki, is that her name? Jecki? Whatever it is. I can't even remember some of the characters' names. They're so uninteresting, but that was a great fight. I actually thought both performers were so invested in the fight. Like, you can tell they've really trained for it, but her character's like great with a lightsaber, and the way he kills her is just insane. He like ignites his lightsaber 6 times through her chest or whatever. My jaw actually dropped in that moment. I was like, damn, that was a brutal kill. So again, the fights are really great in this. There's some crazy kills, and there's just like Jedi bodies everywhere. It's very weird to see in a Star Wars show. Like, you really don't see that other than Order 66. So that's a good fight. I really like his fighting style, and especially in the finale with Saul. Everyone's seeing online the witch stuff from episode 3, which yes, it was kind of, I don't know, the whole song thing, the power of one, the power of two, the power of many. I thought it was a bit cringe and like, oh, this is weird to watch this chant, but I did like the mind messing up witchcraft stuff that they do. Like, I thought that stuff is very interesting, and the idea of witches in Star Wars is interesting to me. So I didn't fully hate that stuff. Like, I thought the performers who were witches are, again, they're fine. They're not really interesting, like, compared to other characters, but they're fine. They're given a job to do, and it just feels like a lot of people in the show are acting in different things, or they think they're in different things. And we see, like, part of what happens in the twins' childhood in episode 3, and then revealed in the finale, which, I don't know, it's an interesting idea to split that, give us part of the story in episode 3 and then solve that later, but that's a good idea, but I think it's executed a little bit poorly, because in the finale we're kind of shown again a lot of stuff that we've already seen, versus, I don't know, it's not as concise as it could be and give us other things to learn in the finale. Like, the finale's 48 minutes, and I, going into it, was like, okay, there's no way this finale is under an hour and 20 minutes because there's so much stuff left. But it's just a weird way that they executed it, going from episode 3 to the final episode. But I didn't hate it. I thought, oh my god, they're really gonna like save us in going back to episode 3 basically. But I think they, for the most part, are okay in the way that they're splitting the present day and the past, but it's just a little bit too much of the past, or they go back. It is an interesting idea to do that. I'm gonna get in now into like just some stuff that I like. These are some spoiler moments that I actually really liked. There's, in the finale, Saul and Kamir are fighting. They're having like a full-on, one thing I really like about Saul is how good he is without a lightsaber. Like, I really love the martial arts kind of fist fighting in this. That was one thing I very much liked, and that's why you get a Carrie-Anne Moss, because she did The Matrix. You know, I really liked that aspect of the show. Like, even without lightsabers, the fights are good. Like, Amanda Stenberg's characters, May and Osha have one fight in the finale that I actually really liked as well. Like, they're doing a lot of cool kung fu moves and stuff like that, martial arts stuff, and I like that stuff. Even that's one thing that I have to give the show credit, is that even the fights without lightsabers are interesting as well, which I feel like we don't see tons in Star Wars. Like, it's mostly lightsaber fights that are interesting in Star Wars, you know what I mean? But not tons of lightsaber fights in the show, but the ones that we do get are very good. Like, Kamir taking on all of the Jedi and killing like 11 of them was super hardcore. Vernestra's lightsaber whip, we only see it like once in the show, which was a bummer because it's shown in the trailer. So you go in thinking, oh, we're gonna get some cool lightsaber whipping stuff, which a theory is that she used that whip on Kamir because you see his back and it's all scarred and it looks like whip marks. Yeah, there's this one cool cut in the finale where Osha and May are fighting and they do like this karate kick crossover, like their legs cross each other, and then that cuts into two lightsabers in the place of where their legs are, and it's a red and a blue lightsaber of Sol and Kamir fighting. I thought that was one of the dopest transitions in that I can remember in a while in Star Wars. Like, it's so quick, but I loved it. Again, it's just another great thing about the fights that I liked. Let's go over the ending a bit. I don't want to just summarize the entire ending, but like I said, after episode 7, when I was waiting for the finale last night, I was like, Jesus, we have a lot to wrap up in this final episode, and I thought this is a limited series. We're getting one season of this, and that's it. Boy, was I wrong, because the show ends with lots of questions still remaining. I liked in the finale, they use a force mind wipe that Kamir wipes the mind of one of the twins, May. So May will forget Osha because Osha is going to become the Acolyte and go to the dark side. Sol actually dies. Osha kills Sol, and he was the one that killed their mom, the twins' mom, because she was a witch or whatever. And I liked that about Sol, how complicated he was, that he did this thing that he thought was protecting them, but the Jedi all cover it up, and I like that. I think they maybe rely on good guys being bad guys and bad guys being good guys a little too much in the show. Like, they really try to, mucky the waters a little bit too much, and they really make the Jedis look like idiots in this. But I did like how complicated this one crew of Jedi was in this show. Like, the truth is revealed about Sol, and Vernestra then needs to go on the hunt for Kamir because that's her former Padawan, and that's where she, in the final shot of the show, or second final shot of the show, is her meeting Yoda. She's going to see Yoda. So that was a cool little Easter egg. Other than Darth Plagueis, that's another really sweet Easter egg that the hardcore, OG fans or people that in general recognize Star Wars. It's definitely Yoda because she goes in, Master, I have to talk to you, blah, blah, blah. That was one thing. I didn't feel like it was too heavy-handed. I don't know. I thought it was like, oh, that's cool. We get to see Yoda, and he is around, because you do wonder, like, where are the rest of the Jedi that are older and show up in the prequels? So I like that. Yeah, the ending, there's lots of twists and loose ends. Like, of course, you get the Darth Plagueis reveal in the finale, but Osha goes with Kamir back to the place that looks like Ahch-To, where Luke trained Rey and Luke hid for all those years, and where the original Jedi Temple was, I believe. So it can't be Ahch-To because there is no Jedi Temple there. But it definitely left me with the impression that they're waiting for a season 2, or they're giving us a season 2, which I don't know if we'll get that. I kind of hope we do, just because there's questions left answered, and I think this is a show that does have potential. Like, this show does have potential of what could happen. Like, in the end, May has her mind wiped, and the sisters promise each other that they'll find each other. It's kind of a Spider-Man No Way Home situation where they're like, I'll find you, blah, blah, blah. So there was just lots of things left to wrap up, even when the show ends. Like, is Vernestra going to find Kamir? And she goes to Master Yoda. So would I take a season 2 of the show? I think so, but it does need to really clean up the writing and the pacing and make our main character, make May and Osha more interesting and more of the focal point, and give them more of the cool stuff to do. Like, the way you win over people to be fans of your characters, giving them cool stuff to do. And the mystery of them is solved in the first episode. Oh, I haven't even mentioned this yet in spoilers, but May and Osha are like Anakin. They're just like created by the Force or whatever, and they're actually one person person, I guess, that's split into two. What's it called? An aversion or aversion, something like that. But anyways, they're one person, so they're not actually twins. They are one person that's been split into two by the Force, I guess. Okay, whatever. I don't care. That's seems so unimportant to me, to be honest. That's why I forgot, because I'm like, whatever. I just took it as they were twins, and oh well. It's kind of like how Anakin was born, and that's why the Darth Plagueis thing is big. But yeah, lots of loose ends to wrap up here in season 2 if we ever get that, or is it just going to end on a cliffhanger? I don't know, but I think that about does it for the Acolyte. I think I have said all I wanted to say, and I want to get into what else I watched this week, because I actually do have a few things I want to talk about. All right, what else I watched? I actually watched all of season 2 of The Bear, because I mentioned that I binge watched season 1 again, and I'm restarting season 3 again. I'm just going to watch it all the way through, because why not? And I want to specifically talk about 2 episodes. I want to talk about Seven Fishes and Forks, okay? Seven Fishes is one of the most stressful TV episodes I have ever watched. I posted on my Instagram the picture of Mikey holding the fork when he's going to throw it at Bob Odenkirk's character. That is one of the most nervous I've been in a TV show, and it stresses me out so much. Dude, don't throw the fork. Do not throw the fork. Everybody is begging him at the table. Mikey, don't throw the fork, okay? Don't do it. And it's just so funny when he does, and everything erupts. Jamie Lee Curtis, who plays their mom, Donna, I think she's really great in the show, and I like that she comes back in season 3 as well with the pregnancy. Really great, but just Seven Fishes is such an interesting episode, and I really love how much of Carmi's background you get to see. It's a lot like season 3, episode 1, Tomorrow. I just really like when they explore Carmi's past, and that's some of the most interesting stuff. And also, I really like how they show Uncle Jimmy and Richie. Uncle Jimmy is such an underrated character in this show. I love Uncle Jimmy. What's his name in real life? Something Platt? Jimmy Platt? I can't remember, but seriously great. Richie is one of my favorite television characters, I think. I really love Richie. I love everything he gets in every season. Just how he has this outer shell, but he's actually such a, I don't know, vulnerable and sensitive and self-conscious person that the opinion that matters most is his daughter's opinion to him. I just love Richie so much. So yeah, season 2, amazing. Forks is one of my favorite TV episodes ever, as I said. And Richie in that episode, I love that underdog story of him thinking no one believes in me. I'm just given this opportunity because it's meant to hurt me. Someone that thinks the world is against them, when in fact it's people wanting you to succeed, And I love that episode with Richie so much. So yeah, season 2 of The Bear, awesome. Here's something that I don't say often, but I tried to start a show. My girlfriend has recommended The Haunting of Hill House to me for probably 4 years now. Last time I watched it, I watched episode 1 and 2, and for some reason didn't continue. So I thought this week, I'm going to give it another shot. I really liked Longlegs. Why not watch a horror TV show? And look, it's an interesting show. I think it's very well made. Mike Flanagan seems to be a very good writer, but for some reason, I just could not get into it. Something about it, I just did not care watching it. I don't like the aesthetic of the show. It's very glossy and looks like a Lifetime TV movie kinda, or a W Network show. Just something about it I couldn't connect. It seems like this could be a very interesting show and a quality show, and it's not bad by any stretch, but it's just not for me, if that makes sense. And I feel like such a schmuck selling out saying that. So I watched episode 1 and 2, and just as I was starting 3, I paused it. I was like, hey, no, I gotta take a break and watch something else. And then after, I was like, yeah, this is not working. I can't get through this. I'm just not interested. And the main guy with the glasses, who's the writer, he's in the Rebel Moon, so he's kind of ruined it for me, because every time I see him, I just think of Rebel Moon, and my blood starts to boil. So yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to my girlfriend that I can't get through The Haunting of Hill House. But again, this week we got another solid episode of My Adventures with Superman, season 2, episode 9. Just a solid, it's so nice when you have a weekly show to look forward to. It's just every Saturday and Thursday with the boys and the Superman show. I just love having something to look forward to. Oh yes, I get to sit down and watch my show, and it's solid every week when you're watching it. That's how I feel about these shows. My New Adventures with Superman, or My Adventures, I can never get the title right. I just love what they're doing with the show. They're showing it much more lighthearted, but also doing some great very specific things with the Superman character. And Jack Quaid, as I said, awesome. Last week's The Boys episodes were awesome as well. I cannot wait for the finale that's coming out this week. I'm recording this a little early on Wednesday, July 17th, because I'm gone this weekend. So the Boys is wrapping up season 4 tomorrow night. I'm super excited for the finale. Season 3 was really good, but I didn't like the finale at all. Whereas season 4 has been consistently, raising the stakes every episode, which I think a season needs to do. I also this week read a bunch of Children of Dune, which I'm about 250 pages in, or 220 pages in, sorry. And I really like it. I'm not going to say anything about what the book is about because it spoils the movies for people, and I don't want to spoil the movies for people. But if you haven't read the Dune books and you're like on the fence about reading them, I would honestly do it because there's so much to take out of them. So much great like philosophy, political, historical, environmental things, but also just like good sci-fi stuff. And that carries through to Children of Dune. I think Children of Dune is just really, really awesome, and I'm loving it. I think I'm going to try and wrap it up next weekend. It's 603 pages, including like the little after blurb from Brian Herbert, or is it Frank or Brian that wrote the afterword? I think it's Brian because he wrote afterwards for his father and all the new editions. So yeah, I might try and wrap that up and start God Emperor of Dune, perhaps like August 1st or something like that. That would be nice because I'm doing pretty good. Like I'm a very slow reader, but I'm actually doing okay of reading one of them like in a month and a half or 2 months. It's hard in the summer though. You have plans like every weekend, you're gone doing something in summer, and weeknights, you're busy with work or whatever, and I want to watch something before bed. So I'm trying to make my way through it. But yeah, lots of stuff I've watched this weekend. As I said, I'm watching Twisters, and I'm gonna watch Twister as well on Friday night because I haven't seen that movie in years. I had it on VHS as a kid, and my brother and I watched it so many times. I remember being actually kind of scared of it, which is weird, but I'm very excited for Twisters too. I've only seen really fun reviews for it, so looking forward to that. Next week is gonna be a big one. That about does it for episode 27, The Acolyte. As I said, not a super memorable show. It's fine. It's okay. Star Wars fans will find things that they can like, and there's things that will be very nitpicky, and I totally understand the nitpicking with the show. But if you just kind of like, take it in the context that it is, Star Wars has not been good for like a few years other than Andor and like one season of The Mandalorian being really solid. So you kind of just need to accept the franchise for what it is now. It's like when your sports team isn't good anymore. Like I'm a Man United fan, and United have not been winning amazing trophies in years, and you kind of just have to accept defeat at a certain point and be like, okay, this is the reality of the situation now. But as always, if you can, rate and review the show 5 stars, share it with a friend. You can find it on every streaming platform, be it Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Acast. You can give it a 5-star review and give us a great review underneath the show. We're also on YouTube, where you can subscribe to the channel. You can like and comment on all of the episodes. What did you think of The Acolyte? What's been your favorite? I'm actually curious, what has been people's favorite Star Wars Disney Plus TV show? I feel like most people it'll be Andor, unless they need it to be very strictly like what Star Wars is, because for me, I liked what was so different about it from regular Star Wars things, like not lightsaber fights and stuff. Let me know what's your favorite Star Wars show, and what did you think of The Acolyte in general? Don't comment bullshit like, oh, I hated blah, blah, blah because they're, it's identity politics. Don't give me that. Literally just assess the show for the writing and the quality of it. You know what I mean? But yeah, like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Leave lots of comments. You can hit that notification bell so you know every Monday when new stuff comes out, every episode, as well as anytime I post a short and stuff like that. You can also email the show if you're not getting in touch via YouTube. watcherofallthings@gmail.com is the email for the show. Get in touch with me there. What else would you like me to review this summer? We're going to be going through the year so far in a couple weeks, so let me know what's been your favorite movies of the year so far, or write in about, what have you thought of the year in general so far, film and TV wise. You can also follow the social media of the show. That is TikTok. We are watcher.of.all.things. I post TikToks there, stupid ones and, other ones. And then on Instagram, where I share lots of stuff, and you can go there. The Instagram is just Watcher of All Things, and the TikTok again is watcher.of.all.things. You can also just follow my personal Letterboxd account. That's KikiJ70, KIKIJ70. You can catch all my reviews early there. All of these will be linked in the show notes underneath and just the description, both on YouTube and the streamers. Like I said, next week we're talking Deadpool and Wolverine and Twisters, so 2 massive movies. That's actually going to be that might be a longer episode because I'm very excited for both those movies. I think Deadpool and Wolverine is going to be very good, and I think Twisters is going to be so much freaking fun. So next week is going to be a great one. So watch The Acolyte, go watch Twisters, go see Deadpool and Wolverine next week. Thank you all again for all of the lovely messages. I got some great messages on Instagram about the Longlegs episode. People saying what really scared them in the background of shots that I forgot to mention. So just, it's really fun seeing so much discourse around Longlegs because a truly terrifying movie. I hope you have a phenomenal week. Enjoy the rest of your Monday if you're listening to this on the Monday, and I will see you in the next one.